Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and other assorted Genderastic nations. Welcome back to the BTD Bingecast, where we take TV shows and movies and binge them for you in easily digestible chunks. I am, once again, Jay Winger, being joined by...
Zeke.
Sam.
And Kat from Shadow Cat Cosplay is not with us at this time, but we're going to continue on anyway with part 3 of our My Hero Academia Bingecast, where we're going to wrap up season 1, finish off the last 5 episodes of the first season. Where we left off, they just finished their introduction into UA Academy, their their quirk testing, and the 2-on-2 tests, where we got introduced to a bunch of the other students, although we didn't get a good look at all of their quirks yet. There was the fire and ice guy, Icy Hot, Todoroki. Don't know if they specifically named him anything. They certainly didn't name him Icy Hot. I think that's just you guys with foreknowledge.
Actually, I thought that was a fan base name. I didn't think that was his real name.
Whatever. You know,
I thought it was Bakugo called him that.
It's very possible. That's the thing. We got introduced to Momo. Didn't get too much of a look at her quirk, but we know that she's a very analytical person. From what you guys said, I think that sort of ties into with her quirk to some extent. And
yeah, she's just a brainiac in general.
Yeah, we, like I said, got a real brief look at all that. Once again, Deku is still not capable of really channeling One for All yet, and keeps hurting himself whenever he does, much to the annoyance.
Severely.
Yeah, and Bakugo is still severely annoyed that Deku is even trying. And of course, there was the stinger at the end of episode 8, where we got introduced to the League of Villains in a very, very brief introduction that really told us nothing except that they're there and they want to kill All Might.
That's all you need to know about a villain.
Yeah, that's true. They're always going to be opposed to the number one hero. So, with that, we'll pause it here, and we'll be back after the binge. And we're back after the binge. So, 5 episodes, concluding season 1, rather. First, we had a little bit of just ordinary high school stuff, like choosing a class representative, and
if you call that normal,
it is in Japan.
I mean, security guards, people almost storming themselves to death, and they're normal.
I imagine there's still probably that sort of thing going on, just not necessarily at UA. But they have a vote. Deku gets 3 votes. We find out that Ochako gave him one of the votes, and we find out that Ida was the other one. I don't know if it said that, and they were all basically allowed to vote for each other, but Ida, who really wanted the job, didn't vote for himself.
Well, he wanted to lead by example.
That's true.
He was also probably hoping people would see his natural leadership
and
vote for him outside of just voting for themselves selfishly.
And to be fair, by the end of the episode, that's exactly what happens. They do follow up on the introduction of the villains from episode 8 by having the villains basically find a way to let the press into the UA campus. The press wanting to get in there because they've heard All Might is there, they want an interview and blah, 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 blah. They won't take no for an answer. So this sets off security alarms.
Did you figure out how they got through, though?
Yeah, bad touch.
Yes. Which brings the question of how he did it. Was there people around? Because if there's a bunch of news cameras at this point in time, and he walks up and goes, "Bad dog, go away."
Warp powers literally just have the void drop him on the other side of it. Yes, the alarm goes off, but he does the thing to the door, gets warped back out again. Press rushes in, and then...
Well, also, keep in mind the door was already locked down because the person walked in, so maybe there was a time frame between the alarm.
I wonder if he just brushed past it with his hand, just went, or he probably just walked up and says, "Hey, how would you guys like to get in there and interview him?" And they're like, "By all means," and he just goes, "Boop."
They're not going to say anything.
Yeah, they want to get there.
But in the midst of all that, there's a panic. All the students are trying to evacuate, and Ida gets his chance to shine. He gets to get up high, alert everyone that it's just the press. It's not an attack. Everybody calm down. They do so, and they're like, yeah, if you want to be class president, then go for it. So, and Deku's like, I don't really want the job.
Deku's like, I don't really want the job. I'm glad it's democratic and all, but I'm not suited for this.
Yep.
You're suited. You kept everyone calm. You kept the entire school calm, not just a class.
Right.
And the teacher morale is high. I don't care who it is, just get this done with.
Yeah.
That's a waste of time.
Yeah, and Eraserhead was just basically like, whatever, stop interrupting me while I'm trying to nap. The episode ended with them, the students all going off for rescue training, and that's when the villains turn up. Cliffhanger, which Sam said he hated when it happened when he was watching it live.
As it was coming out, season finales are painful because you've got 5 or more episodes where it's cliffhanger.
When you're getting close to the end of a season, yeah.
Makes me glad I started in season 3, I think.
So you had a couple of seasons worth of
You still had to worry about it anyway.
I did too. I caught up. Oh, but that binge was annoying.
Next episode opened with the villains all spreading out. It's established that they figured out the schedule for the training and that they expected All Might to be there, except he's not, because that day he spent the entire morning doing hero stuff just during his morning commute because he can't not respond to people calling for help.
Which I want you to stop and think about that.
Well,
You're on your way to work, and all you hear is help, and you have to stop. Like, oh, I was almost to the door.
And we'll talk about that, about responsibility when it comes to that sort of thing. But of course, since All Might's not there, the villains are basically like, well, whatever. We'll just kill all these students. But then we get to see Eraserhead go to work, and he's a freaking badass. He knows how to use his abilities pretty well, and he's just
them.
Yeah, he curb stomps the heck out of all the scrubs that get sent out ahead of them. And then while the class is trying to escape because Rescue Hero 13 is just like, you guys are not prepared for this. We have to protect you. Get out of here. That's when the Black Void villain basically shows up as like, nah, not going to let you do that, and uses his warp abilities to teleport them all over the training facility.
So the thing is, when they broke in and they caused the commotion, they got the list of where the teachers were going to be that day, not necessarily any information on the students they had.
Right.
So he was just throwing them wherever, not knowing that, yeah, I'm going to throw Froppy over here in the water. I'm going to throw Todoroki over here on a mountaintop.
Well, Todoroki, I think,
He would have been fine.
He would have been fine regardless of where they dropped him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's the most OP student there.
His was a landslide, so it was like literally just flat land. He just frees the out of everything, and it just covers it.
But yeah, Deku and Sue, Froppy, you call her, the frog girl.
I tend to call them by their hero names.
Yeah, get dropped in the shipwreck zone along with Great Boy, and of course Froppy is perfectly at home in the water because she's a freaking frog.
With all the powers of a frog.
Yep.
Is it just me, or am I the only one that sits there when I hear shipwreck zone? I think it was Sonic.
Probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's just me then.
But the students all sort of realize these villains don't know anything about what we're capable of. You know, and
They were kind of like at a standoff.
Because they were at a
outside
standoff.
the boat, looking at them, and they weren't progressing because they don't
know what these kids are capable of, which they use to their advantage. And Deku combines doing a simple like finger flick what do you call it? Carolina Smash?
Which one did he call that?
No, that was the Delaware Smash, actually.
Yeah, that was the Delaware one.
He basically flicked a hole in the ocean and caused a vortex. Froppy leapfrogged out of there with
Got him.
Great Boy, who just flung a bunch of his little sticky balls
And they were
down into
actually
the water.
sticky because he had a nice poo in the water.
And that combined with the vortex pulled all the villains in. They all got stuck together in a lump, which is a nice, neat little way to wrap it all up. Of course,
It's nice they're actually showing that grape juice has an actual viable use.
yeah. Apart from just being the pervert coward and overly emotional coward at that, he must have spent the entire 5 episodes.
He's got nothing on Deku with cry ability.
Well, Deku just sort of blubbers like crazy.
I swear to God, that's his natural quirk, was the ability to non-stop cry. He can produce so much water.
Except that's more of an anime quirk, anime trope in general.
Think about it. If he got with a girl or guy or whoever he gets with that has, as a partner, to be with him that has water manipulation ability, unstoppable. He has this heightened power, but then he could also blubber about it and just use all of that as like psychic blades made out of water or something.
Yep. Well, some of the students got their chance to shine, but after they deal with all the scrubs, that's when the ones with actual power and who are smarter than that all sort of step forward and are like, okay, you've had your fun. Now it's time to show you why you're outmatched. Because Eraserhead tries to take on Bad Touch, and unfortunately, Bad Touch has spotted all of it, spotted his tail, and spotted the weakness.
He goes Super Saiyan when his eyes are open.
Yep. His hair
When
basically
his quirk is
active, then his hair stands up. And so,
Name
but
it, you
even,
get out
even
of
so,
space.
Eraserhead held his own until Nomu showed up. Nomu, who is deliberately overpowered, literally engineered to be overpowered.
Yeah.
He just completely smashes Eraserhead down, and he can't cancel his quirk out because he's just naturally super strong. Then again, that might just be down to whatever weird ass genetic engineering they did to him.
Yeah, you've got that absolutely correct.
And Void basically no-sold 13's black hole power.
Nothing like turn your own power against you.
Mm-hmm. Used his warp gates to turn the black hole suction against her. And Ina managed to get out so he could go get help, but basically Nomu just completely wrecked Eraserhead. And
Well, yeah, when Nomu was brought in there just to fight All Might,
mm-hmm.
and he's engineered for All Might, there's not too many people who can step up to All Might one-on-one.
That
So anyone else
is just completely
outmatched.
outclassed. But the League of Villains, or at least the leadership, realized, okay, one of the students got out, which means that the pros are on their way. We can't win. So before we go, let's try to demolish All Might's resolve by killing his favorite students.
Or just killing his students in general.
Yeah.
Because he went right after Froppy.
Yep. And Deku tried to, realize what was about to happen. Basically was about to unleash a full-on megaton punch on him.
He pulled back and he went for the
full force.
And it just got stopped by Nomu because he's
shock absorption.
Well, his speed.
Yeah.
To get in the way.
Nomu is like ridiculously fast. Now, at first I thought when Deku actually connected with the punch that Nomu had some sort of ability to nullify his power because Deku's arm wasn't broken. But if it's shock absorption,
I'm wondering.
it still should have broken his arm.
His body reacted and just everything synced up for that hit.
Or it's a combination of his regenerative abilities
You know
and the shock absorption.
What happened that Froppy didn't get killed was because of Eraserhead.
Oh, that...
I'm wondering if it was still active during the time of the punch at the right time.
That may have been it, because we did see Eraserhead
His head
use the nullification
But his head was
on
smashed.
Bad Touch and then got smashed down.
I wonder if he looked up at the right time, or...
Except from what we saw, he was completely out of commission after that last smash by Nomu.
The hit, and he had full power behind it. It's just he had everything just lined up to
His
where
1 in a million
Yeah.
shot that he actually didn't destroy his arm.
Yep.
Because if he would have gone through with that one, all the other times where he's like black and blue all over and broken bones internally, I don't think he would have had an arm afterwards.
Very possible, and I don't think even Recovery Girl would have been able to help him in that case. But at that's about the time when Hope arrives and All Might comes to the rescue, and he ain't smiling.
Oh, he was pissed off.
Yep, he shows up. End of the episode, start of the next episode. Takes off his jacket, takes off his tie, and he's
Rips
just
the
like,
damn tie.
rips the tie off, and he's just like, okay, you made the wrong call. He just curb stomps every single scrub in the building that was left standing, saves Eraserhead, and that's when
grabs the 3 of them.
and that's when we start getting a little bit more insight into Bad Touch. It's, granted, in the later episodes, in the closing episode, we find out that Bad Touch is taking orders from someone,
A
higher up.
At least a couple.
But there was, I thought I heard him say in episode 12, he made some comment about his father.
He's talking to the hands. I'm thinking those are a representation of his father.
But we start seeing some of his motivations, or at least what he expresses as his motivations. He dislikes the government heroes, and that heroes can commit all the violence they want, but because they're helping people, it's heroic, and as long as they're enforcing justice, then it's okay, which is a valid argument. All Might, however, when Bad Touch calls All Might on it, and points out that Deku tried to literally kill him. And
granted, he's also a student that doesn't... They're not fully aware of how much power they've got, and he's literally trying to save one of his classmates from losing their damn head.
Right.
So, in a sense, that would be justifiable, because he's going after her for no reason. Just to hurt someone else.
Yeah.
Because you don't like their status as a hero.
Yes, and that's exactly what All Might basically does when Bad Touch, tries to call him out on the hypocrisy of it all, and All Might's just like, you just want to do this shit yourself. And Bad Touch is like, he got me there.
He also makes a lot of gaming references.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Bad Touch just always was like, the end boss is here.
End boss, game over.
Game over. There's
continue.
It got an extra continue. The end of the level. All this sort of stuff. But then we got to see Nomu, and we got to see All Might go off against the League of Villains leaders, but they pretty well neutralized him until some of the rest of 1A showed up. He tried to suplex Nomu into the ground so that Nomu couldn't move, but Void opened a warp gate and trapped All Might between them, while Nomu digs his fingers into
because they
All Might's
basically
weak spot.
suplexed him into a void, the warp gate,
A black hole,
pushing him
portal.
through underneath himself.
Yep, and they were prepared to basically do a portal cut. Keep him trapped between two portals and then just squeeze it shut, which probably would have worked if Kacchan and Icy Hot both showed up to save the day. Icy Hot freezing Nomu in place so that he couldn't move, and Kachan showing he actually does have some intelligence behind the belligerence, because he noted that the Void does have a body amidst all the mist that he surrounds himself with, and basically grabbed him by the neck and pinned him to the ground. And that would have worked if they hadn't managed to, if Nomu basically didn't just pull himself free of the portal, broke off his own arm, which had been frozen, and then just regrows it. As soon as I saw that happen, I was like, come on, that's just what the hell?
Rapid regeneration and shock absorption, super strength and super speed. One of those things, they shouldn't all be there.
Yeah, but as we found out in the last episode, he was basically engineered to be that way. But then we got to see All Might go even further beyond as he just went off on Nomu, and it was God damn.
I was wondering about the regeneration. Didn't that look familiar to you? Did you seen further than the guy did as well?
Yeah, but you know how those... I can't see anymore here.
I don't know. I was just asking the question. Did it look familiar? Because when we get to season 3, we'll probably wrap about...
Yeah, well, it's obvious. We know, I thought you would have already known this by now, how things are happening.
Well, I know.
With Nomu.
Yeah, I know about that, but that specific power looked familiar.
Self-regeneration?
The self-regeneration and the fact that how the muscles came out.
That's a different guy altogether.
You think so?
No, it is. It definitely is.
Okay.
Because...
Like I said, we'll bounce back to this, when we get to season 3, I think it was. We'll bounce back to this conversation.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to put a note in here about that.
In future episodes is, not everybody has a unique ability. Some people have, say, strength tier S or speed tier E and stuff like that, where they have different levels and grades of, say, a healing ability. There's also hybrid abilities, like Todoroki, which we've got you called him Icy Hot, but we've not seen why he would be considered Icy Hot. We've seen Icy. So all we should really know is that he does ice.
Except we do see him melt all that ice again.
Well, that could
the
be
very first time we see him use it.
Just, in theory, could have been him just retracting the ice.
Yeah, but at any rate, the All Might, we know that he's far more intelligent than the, I am here, symbol of peace that facade that he puts on. Well, I say facade, that is actually exactly who he is, but he basically notes Nomu has shock absorption, not nullification, which means there is a limit to it. And he just basically completely unloads on him with more than 100% of his power.
More than 100% of his power, 300 plus hits.
And then finally just unleashes the ultimate Falcon punch. sent him flying off like Team Rocket.
Sent him down towards the ground and then shot up underneath him and then punched him straight through.
Mm-hmm. He basically spiked him and then just rocket launched him.
Literally Team Rocketed his ass through the sky.
I think we should just call that the plus ultra punch, because that's literally what he said. You've heard me say it now. Learn what it means to go beyond plus ultra. Wham!
I think that might have been his United States smash.
Yeah,
maybe. But until I hear him actually call it that, I'm just going to call it the plus ultra smash. And then the final episode was a pretty simple one, because the climax was basically Nomu versus All Might. The wrap up was All Might literally is at his limit. He has just like a minute left before he will revert to his weaker form, and he tries to bluff Bad Touch and Void into just surrendering. Bad Touch almost does back down, but the Void basically is like, we can't stop now, and they go for it.
We're at the final boss.
Yeah, we're at the final boss, and so they go for it. Deku tries to come to the rescue, breaking his legs in the process.
Because he does the super leap.
Mm-hmm. He does his little super leap to try to go in for the punch again. But Void just opens a warp gate, allows Bad Touch to reach through to try to grab his face. And that's when, I guess we've missed the part where it was high noon, because McCree shows up and shoots him in the hand.
But here's the fun part. A question of heroism. Is a hero someone carrying a gun or not?
Are you going to tell policemen who put their lives on the line?
They are policemen. They are doing their job. They're not like superheroes with Superman. It was like Superman carrying a gun.
Superman doesn't need to carry a gun. It'd be like Batman carrying a gun.
Yeah,
oh wait, he did.
Yeah, technically not worse. But that brings the question.
No, Batman originally carried a gun.
Yeah, but then they changed that, and the character, I think, was better for it. But basically the pro heroes show up and help save the day. The League of Villains, the Scrubs all get apprehended. Bad Touch is like, okay, we need to get out of here. He gets shot in every single limb by McCree.
And sniper. You saw he hit somebody all the way up in the mountain and then hit him way down there. The reason why his hero name is pretty self-explanatory, called Sniper. So,
but Bad Touch and the Void escape barely.
Because 13 opened up black hole again.
Mm-hmm. And at any rate, the class all escapes with minor injuries apart from Deku.
Broke himself.
Yeah. And in the wrap up of all that, we learned that Rescue Hero 13 had some lacerations from her suit getting ripped open by her own power, but is going to be okay. Eraserhead is stable, but there was damage to his orbital bones, and so his eyesight may not completely recover, which is the basis of his power. The faculty is worried about the fact that there's a warp quirk out in the wild, because
on the villains side.
on the side of villainy too, because it's not a very common power. But the Void and Bad Touch, they regroup back at their bad guy bar, where they get in touch with the
voices.
The voices.
The
the villainous elite or whatever.
Yeah, which I'm still, even this far into it, the show, not sure who all of them are, because I heard multiple voices.
Yeah, same here. It's at first I thought it was just going to be one person, because we heard Bad Touch talk to his master, who was obviously one of the people on the conference call thing.
Which he gets introduced later on.
I'm sure he does. But then we heard some other voices, including the mad scientist who created Nomu. But the police show up. We get introduced to the detective, who's trusted enough that All Might allows him to see him in his weaker form.
Has seen him in it before.
And he gets permission from the principal to investigate the school's security setup or whatever. You guys say he's like a very trusted detective. I can't help but feel like that is one of those things that would open it up to be.
What are you looking at?
That's the answer. Take a look. Continue.
I just can't help but feel that allowing an outsider in there is just asking for trouble. Even if he is a trustworthy person, it's an opening that the villains.
This is why I said what I said early on.
Mm-hmm. But you're looking at more as, it's not really the police officer being the bad thing. It's more the fact of, the news is going to get a hold of the fact that the police officer comes in and
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that the villains have shown that they are observant and resourceful and observant. Bad Touch watched Eraserhead fight to spot his not just his
get
tell,
killed.
but his fighting style. Because when Eraserhead tried to basically grab him and pull himself in to do that elbow smash thing, Bad Touch blocked it. That's going to be trouble. You know, the detective is probably fine.
See, there's a lot of similarities between him and Deku of their analytics.
I picked up on that as well, the parallels there. And I like...
Ooh, there's even more. Oh, shit. Later on, that just threw me for a loop just now.
If that's stuff for later episodes, then we'll leave that be. We ended with a stinger showing that there's another villain turning up. From what I've seen of some of My Hero, just on the internet, reading TV tropes and stuff, I think I know who that might be, but I don't remember the character's name, so I'm just going to leave it.
I just love what you said, because it's a joke and you don't even notice it yet.
The stinger thing? Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll talk about when he leaves.
Oh.
But there are some other topics I wanted to sort of bring up that, you know, I noted over the course of all this. One of them we mentioned this earlier is responsibility, because the principal Nezu has a talk with All Might about his responsibilities as a teacher, and the fact that, you know, he basically tells him you can't just run out every time you hear somebody call for help. You have other responsibilities.
And there's plenty of agencies to help take care of that.
Exactly. You are just one man, and there are multiple other people out there who are capable of doing this thing.
It's just in his blood.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, comes down to he has a passion for all that. But that sort of responsibility thing, it's brought up a little bit earlier in episode 9 when the class representative thing is brought up, because that brings with it a bunch of responsibilities to the class and a lot of extra attention from like hero agencies and such. Deku wasn't sure that he was capable of handling that level of responsibility, which is of course one reason why he stepped down. But
one thing about this world that I love the most, like, everything is built up to be for you to get noticed once you enter a school. Like, every decision that you make is a opportunity for you to get noticed by a agency, so you can keep going up higher and higher.
So you can do this sort of thing for a living.
So like the smaller stuff that people would take advantage of, like being a representative, so like that builds you up more and more, and they show that.
Mm-hmm. And they do make a point. They have sort of mentioned throughout all this that there are practical uses for quirks as well that don't necessarily tie into hero work. We saw that briefly at the beginning of the last episode when Momo and what's her name, the earphone jack girl.
Her hero name is Earjack. I can't remember.
Okay. They try to talk down one of the villains, who's another electric powered one. Admittedly, it's just a distraction while she tries to use the distraction to use her quirk. But she basically tries to be like, why did you throw your lot in with them? There are plenty of things you could do with an electrical quirk, you know, to help people, sort of thing. You know, but it was not in a pro-hero sort of way, but sort of like you could work in a power plant kind of thing and help generate power for the city sort of thing. He doesn't go for it, but it's another. I liked that they sort of acknowledge that you don't have to become a pro-hero just because you have a quirk, because, you know, 80% of the planet has quirks. We did touch on the whole notion of like heroic morality that Bad Touch kept going on about, that it's okay if a hero does it, but if you're not a hero, then you're a villain. If you do if you commit violent acts, then you're a hero. I mean, that's one of those things that's often brought up in superhero stuff.
Well, like 13 said, I mean, you can use your powers responsibly, but even when you use them responsibly, sometimes
there are risks involved.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the danger that your quirk may pose to other people. Bakugo
and Deku.
Deku too, but Bakugo, who literally sweats nitroglycerin.
Yeah, he's born to be a villain.
Or gave that hint, the die.
Wait till they start picking hero names.
Oh, next season. God, I want next season away.
And there was something, and sort of tying in with that is the villain's motivation of targeting the hero society. That, you know, it makes them a target, and it just sort of encourages villains to sort of step up and try to take you down. Granted, unless you're All Might, whose existence literally caused the number of villains to drop. But yeah, that's another one of those things that I'm sure will be explored more in future seasons. But I'm definitely enjoying the series so far. I'm glad you guys gave you guys an excuse to rewatch it as well, especially you, Sam. I know.
Keep going down this route. We have 88 episodes at the time and 2 movies to go through.
Yep.
And the movies actually do have kind of a set place and kind of a tie-in.
And they tie into the continuity.
That's what I was looking up. I think the first movie takes place between seasons 2 and 3.
They literally have an episode telling you when to go see the movie.
Yes, I remember that.
And when that comes along, then that's what we'll do. But
I gotta actually dig mine out.
Yeah, because it's not on the app we are using. Sadness.
Well, there are plenty of other resources out there for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know my Blu-ray if I can find it.
But I think that's about it for now. Not sure when we'll pick up with season 2. We may be doing binges on other stuff between now and then, but we will continue watching this. You have caught me with this. You have caught my interest.
How long did it take you to get caught onto it?
I mean, within the first 4 episodes, but it's just like...
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
It was one of those shows...
I love the world building they've done here.
The world building is excellent. The filler-esque episodes don't feel like filler episodes. You're still learning about the characters. You're still getting engrossed in the world and the universe they're building. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh well.
Didn't really feel like there was much. It didn't really feel like there was much filler here in this season. But then with 13 episodes, there's not really a lot of space for it. And even episode 9, which at first glance seemed like a filler episode, as they deal with high school stuff, until the very end when they go to rescue training, and then surprise, villains. Suddenly not a filler rep anymore.
Any more characters you learned about or want to learn about?
I mean, most of the rest of the major members of Class 1A. I mean, Todoroki, you guys keep, icy hot, is clearly being set up to be a major player with just the power, the sheer power of his quirk. The red guy with the hardening powers. I don't remember
Red Rocket.
His name's Red Riot.
Red Riot. Okay.
Red Rocket's a nickname for a dog penis.
Oh, okay.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
I still call him Red Rocket anyway.
And Kamanaru seems like another one, but I have a feeling he's still one of the more minor of the characters there. But yeah, Todoroki and Ida, I feel, should get fleshed out a lot more. And Ochako too, because they clearly have set up Deku, Ochaku, and Ida as like the main trio, with Bakugo and Red Riot as like another duo of sorts. Because you noticed how they got paired up fairly soon, and they clicked very well together. Even if Red Riot knows how to push some of Bakugo's buttons. Oh, I'm sure. I understand that completely. When I see something that can annoy somebody, I have the urge to push that button, even though I know I shouldn't.
Got a question from the peanut gallery over here going, would the government plant stage stuff to boost a hero? Like, would they do staged heists and stuff to boost a hero's morale, to get that hero into an agency or to get them highly boosted?
I don't know about the government. I could see some
companies
doing it, yeah.
But that spirals me into a different question. How do we know that the people, as a part of the higher up league, how do we know they're not government trying to tear down the hero society part to make it so the heroes can stay employed by hiring these villains to keep doing what they're doing?
So you think the shadowy leaders of Hydra or whatever are orchestrating things
Possibly.
to
Just to keep certain things going at a certain
to maintain a status quo of sorts, and to remove All Might, who basically reduces the amount of villainy sort of thing,
which gives the police nothing to do, which gives some of the
that's an interesting notion. It's all sorts of conspiracies, man. Next thing you know,
a trickle-down effect.
Next thing you know, we're gonna have like a bulletin board with all the red strings strewn all over it.
You know,
I've seen your room. There's no space in your room for one of those things. Yeah.
The pops, the outline. Just look for the wire between the pops.
Ooh, I'm going to be looking more carefully next time I look in there. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this edition of the Bingecast. As I said, we'll continue season 2 at some point. We don't know when exactly that will be. We have got plenty of other things on the list to binge, but just stay tuned. Next episode will come out soon. But for Zeke and Sam, I'm Jay, and we'll see you next time. 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 We'll see you next time.